Hey, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about um, that live stream that we had the 29th of April, 2014. Okay, so if you weren't aware, or if you're seeing this much down the road, or maybe you watched the live stream, this was actually an amazing thing. Let me tell you. Uh, if you didn't see it, definitely go to the Twitch page, twitchtv.com, or that's Twitch TV, twitch.tv/ H1Z1, and they should have. I don't know if they have all the 12 hours up, but I went and they did have some segments in their video section. But basically, what they did was they spent 12 hours broadcasting live from the Sony headquarters in San Diego, pretty much showing off H1Z1 and behind the scenes and dev talks and Q&A with the public. And I mean, it was just incredible. I did not watch all 12 hours yet. That's kind of like my homework assignment, is to watch the 12 hours. But I did watch a few. I'm not sure how much I watched, but just from what I saw, it was incredible. Now, not so much because of what the game footage, but incredible, really, from what it was that they did. I have never, ever seen, I haven't. I mean, you may have, I haven't, but I've never seen a game company that pretty much produced themselves, because as far as I know, it was filmed and put together, just everything was done there in-house, but pretty much just took a day, 12 hours, not a 24-hour period, but a working day, and just broadcast live what it's like to be there at the studio. And it was just so amazing, because they went and they showed folks as they're working at their stations, and they didn't like blur stuff out. Like, they wanted you to see everything that they're working on. And this just really changed my opinion on Sony. Now, I don't know. I've never hated Sony, but there's been times where I wasn't too impressed with the game lineup they've had. I mean, I've gone and I've owned their package where you could play all the games, but there was only like maybe 2 games I played, like EverQuest 2, and maybe I'd hop on and play some DC Universe Online. Even going back before then, off and on, but I never really got into, say, EverQuest the first, never really played PlanetSide. There's just always, a game I would play or wouldn't play. It was cool when you could play all 5 games that they had at the time that was on the one subscription plan, but there's never really been anything to just draw me in to support Sony, because I hated subscription fees. I like the free-to-play, because there's so many games out there. It's really hard to just dedicate myself to one when I have such a short attention span. Like, for example, I was given Project Zomboid, so I want to play some Project Zomboid, but then I got to go back and continue playing Dead Linger. It's just my mind jumps. I have a chance. Steam's got Don't Starve on sale. So I'm like, do I want to get that too? Because it's on sale. It's like $5, but I don't know anything about it, because I just jump from thing to thing to thing. And so with the Sony package, where they had access to all their games, it was kind of cool, because I could jump from game to game to game, even though the games weren't that spectacular. EverQuest 2 was pretty good, but I didn't want to just tie myself down to one particular product or something like that, because there's so many out there. And but after watching this 12-hour stream, I didn't watch the whole thing, but it really changed my opinion on the company, because they were so open. And a lot of folks are like, oh, they're just this evil mega corporation out to make money. Yeah, they sure are, is what they do. But they presented a transparency that I've not seen with anything. I mean, you take like the EVE, and they have their fan fest and their player councils and stuff. But I don't think I've, in the Eve, they seem pretty community driven as well, and they seem kind of open. They make mistakes and they come out and they apologize and stuff, but I've never seen them do anything like this. Just stream a whole day. Now, I have to admit, streaming for one day does not make them the best company in the world. Um, I get that. Let me blow my nose for a second here. So even though they've had this transparency, that still doesn't all of a sudden make their games good. Doesn't all of a sudden make them the best company ever. But it does raise my respect level for them quite a bit. And since it's a company that I've not necessarily hated before, and I've always had a little bit of respect, it's just kind of really helped up that respect bar for me. I mean, everybody's mileage may vary with that. So, with that in mind, though, they shared a lot of great stuff. Oh my gosh, that was still very, very cool, though. I think the thing that was pretty amazing was that throughout the day they kept inviting people in. They were like, "Hey, come on down to the studio. Just come on down." Like I didn't hear them put a limit on it. I'm sure that they can only have so many people at a time in the building, but I'm not sure what restrictions they had there. But it seemed like people were coming in from different game companies and stuff. So there's one YouTube channel I watch. It used to be MMO Attack. Now they're just Attack Gaming. And then they had, I guess the guy's name is Kirk or something like that. That's like the only person of all the people that I saw there that I recognized was one of the main hosts from that Attack Gaming. And then they had other folks there that were like, there was one lady there, she taught like a college course about zombies. I mean, they're in California, they do weird stuff. That's the place where, I don't think it's the same school, but it's the same mindset where, some universities actually teach Klingon as a language to learn. You go and you take a college course on Klingon. So they're doing a college course on zombies, so they came on down to the H1Z1 day, and she was just checking things out. And, so it's a huge culture. Like, because I know there's a lot of people that say, hey, what's so big about, like, a zombie survival game? Why zombies? And I tell you, who knows why? I mean, as a culture, I'm just going to say, like, America, at least, this is very generalization, but I mean, it seems like there's been a phase, vampires were super popular for a while, because there was, I think when Anne Rice wrote her novels, Interview with a Vampire, that really seemed to bring them to the forefront, because that put personalities behind the vampires. They weren't just out to drink blood. It like made you think, wow, these, you take these things that have been alive for, they could live 400 or 500 years. It kind of depends on your lore, as I'll explain that in a minute too. But depending on your lore, they have these rich lives that span decades potentially, and so they've done a lot. And so when she did like her Interview with a Vampire, that put the person behind the vampire, so that really brought them forward. So the movies, well, the first movie was good. So Interview with a Vampire really brought that out. Her books made the vampires big, and you don't even think about it. I mean, that just got huge after a while. Not saying because of her, but I think that helped, because there's, later on there's the Twilight stuff, and they had their own type of vampire, so their own lore. When they stand in the sunlight, they sparkle. There's the underworld, and so that was just huge. Vampires real popular. Werewolves, I don't think have hit that huge of a popularity yet, so it might just be a phase, because vampires are still popular. Have the subcultures, the people who are, have made themselves vampires, but I don't see that with werewolves. I don't see cultures where people make themselves. I'm not saying they don't, but to me, the werewolf hasn't hit quite the fandom that the vampire has hit yet. But it seems like that's where we're at right now with the zombies, is that's hit just such a high fascination. There's the World War Z movie, the novels. There's the books where they've taken, like Pride and Prejudice and made the zombie versions. Abraham Lincoln. Oh, I guess he did vampires, but they're it's just there. Zombies are huge right now. The Walking Dead, I think, was a huge part of that. Even though that's focusing on the survivors of the zombies, but those kinds of things, I think this is the high time for zombies. Vampires are still popular, but now the zombies are going through their thing. So you make a game about them, all right? So I think probably the appeal with the zombies too is because that involves people, the survival aspect. Because that's what a lot of people talk about. It's not so much that people want to be the zombie. There are people who dress up, play zombies and stuff, but a lot of times it's people talking about how they would survive in apocalypse. How would you handle the survival? So it's a little bit different than vampires, because a lot of times people, they talk about either how they're going to be like the thrall, the slave of the vampire, or they're the vampire. But a lot of times people, they don't talk about, well, this is what I would do when I'm a zombie, because you don't have that. When you're a zombie, you're just a zombie. But what a lot of people talk about is how would you survive. And so these survival games, that gives you the opportunity to kind of play that story out. Is how would you survive? Well, now we're giving you the tool. And that's become real popular because it's that survival aspect. But a lot of times it's the romanticism of the survival aspect. So when you had a game like DayZ come along, it showed us that, you can make a survival game where you have to worry about thirst, hunger, the zombie threat, possibly the bandits that are out there. It's just, I think those games have not come to completion yet. Now, I know if you play DayZ and you play like the Arma 2 version, they have mods galore. Epoch is super popular, but there's mods of the mod. And those are very complete games in themselves for the most part, and they keep developing those. But when you take DayZ standalone, which is in its alpha development, there's a lot of support for it, and then there's a lot of hate for it, because that one was kind of the granddaddy that really brought that genre of gaming forward, and the DayZ standalone is not even close to any kind of completion time. It has, well, this is what I read. I don't play it, so I have to read the forums and opinions and things like that of other folks, and people play it, but there's a lot of people that say it's still broken. They say zombies don't work. And I wonder, what do people mean by the zombies don't work? And if you watch people play the game, the zombies pretty much present no threat, like really present no threat. You just kind of run past them and ignore them, unless you go someplace and they get you cornered in a room. But like that's pretty rare from what I see. So I don't know if that's what they mean by broken zombies. The big thing that I hear people complain about, it's like the good and the bad. People either really hate it or they really love it. But it's that open world PvP aspect that people really like or they really hate. People like it because, if you watch a movie like The Road, for instance, look it up. It's got the Viggo Mortensen guy who played Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. That's a super depressing movie because it's post-apocalyptic. There's no zombies, but it really shows what the depravity of man could be like. I mean, it's really rough. You watch that and you're going to be like, yeah, that's DayZ, just add some zombies, But it's kind of what it just turns it out to be, is people just want to go around and shoot people. And I think a lot of times, people use the PvP justification of, well, this is a PvP game. Well, it doesn't have to be a PvP game. It can be a PvP game for the people who want to PvP, and they treat it like a PvP game. I understand that. And then they say, well, because I'm playing the bandit. Well, there's also a subset of survivalist gamers who aren't interested in the PvP aspect. they're interested in the survival aspect. Hence, survival game. Well, PvPers say the same thing. Well, part of survival is avoiding the bandits, aka the human PvP players. So that game really, really demonstrates either you like an open PvP world or you don't. The problem is, for the people who don't like open PvP, there's not a lot of survival games out there that focus on cooperation in an apocalypse. So then they had Rust. I think Rust came out a little bit after the DayZ standalone, and that offered a lot more in terms of like crafting and stuff and giving things for people to do. But the problem there is that that's also a PvP. If you just go on YouTube and you watch DayZ standalone and Rust, it's just, even though there's people who don't want to do the PvP aspect, that's just a huge part of the game, is just getting ganked and killed and murdered. Even though even in Rust, there's a huge crafting focus. So, and you bring that now to this H1Z1, people are ready for a zombie survival game, but their fear is it's just going to be another PvP gank fest. Or some people are really excited for a PvP game. It's really hard to say how this game is going to go, because this has a huge emphasis on survival. Now, what makes this exciting to see, though, is because the game looks to be so much more polished than DayZ standalone. And again, I don't play DayZ standalone. That might be an unfair thing. I'm just going strictly off of all the gameplay footage I've seen of DayZ standalone. Trust me, you get hours and hours of gameplay time just by watching YouTube of DayZ standalone or live Twitches and watching the conversations on the Twitch streams to form opinions. I know, I should probably play it before I make opinions, but I watch a lot of it because I like the survival game. I'm just not a fan of the PvP, which is why I don't play it. But H1Z1 is going to have open world PvP. But when I was watching the live stream, they were trying to explain how they want to include enough stuff that you have things to do and it doesn't have to focus on open world PvP. By giving the players enough things to do, the in-depth crafting, gathering, they're working on their socialization tools like guilds and friends and different things, that hopefully the open world PvP becomes a secondary thing. Yes, it's there, can happen, and it's going to suck if someone lies to you and ambushes and tricks you and takes your stuff. That's going to be harsh, but it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be a kill on sight. They're hoping that they can, with the use of the zombies, make it so that when you see somebody on site, it's going to be more of a, oh look, thank goodness another player, let me group up with you, or let's see if we could trade equipment, instead of a, oh look, there's a player, let me just go shoot him. So that's what I'm hoping for with this game. It'll be interesting to have the open world PvP there, and you still got to be on your toes, because you're still going to find those people who treat it as a PvP game with zombies in the background. But what Sony wants to do is make it a zombie survival game with PvP in the background. And the only way that that's really going to work is just depends on the players who come. So I'm ready to give it a shot. I'm excited. The zombie thing is at the height of popularity. I'm not seeing it, well, I can't say I'm not seeing it become unpopular. I have to admit, I haven't seen a whole lot of it on TV, with zombie specials and stuff like that. So maybe it's starting to come down. Maybe zombie popularity will pick back up when The Walking Dead comes back. But Sony here, has a great opportunity to hop on with a game, a finished product that has working zombies. Now, I'm going to say their zombies are working because when you watch the live stream, they were talking about behaviors of the zombies they want to put in. They want to put in, sight, they see you, smell you, which a lot of other games say that they have. But when you watch the devs talk about the zombie intelligence they're working on, it really makes you think, wow, this could be very tricky to work with their zombies. The only thing I want to see differently about the zombies is their zombies climb or crawl under stuff. Right now, the way that they have the pathing for the zombies is they'll run around walls and structures until they find a door to get in or beat at a door. What would definitely make their zombies way more creepy and more successful is if they crawl through windows or under like garage doors, that you pull down and there's a little gap so you can crawl under them. If the zombies would crawl under stuff or crawl over obstacles like the dead linger. It's amazing how hyped I get for H1Z1 and I see what they're doing, but I still keep coming back to how the dead linger does things. And even though the dead linger is broke quite a bit in their alpha development, they have a lot of things that make me go, wow, see, that's how a zombie game should be. So a lot of good stuff here for H1Z1. Really excited for it. Go watch the 12-hour live stream, in chunks, watch what you can, but you're going to find out there's a lot of good stuff they're working on. It's pretty amazing. They're hopping into the genre, and I hope, because the company really they're a game company, they can pull this off, but it's a zombie survival game. They're not going to please everybody. You're either going to like it or you're not going to like it. There might be I don't really like certain aspects, but I play it. But there's that loyalty, like, oh, it's just a DayZ clone. But I'm going to give it a chance. It's going to be free to play. I'll pay the $20 to hop into the early alpha, and I'm going to play it because I'm really excited because of what the behind the scenes, that 12-hour live stream just really made me excited for it by what they were showing, what they were explaining, their thoughts and their goals. And they were explaining a roadmap, so I'm waiting on a printed roadmap. So I got to watch a lot of the verbal roadmap. How do you watch verbal? I got to listen to their verbal roadmap. Now I'll be anxious to read it. But that's enough for today. I think I've rambled on quite a bit. Just really excited. So if you're excited for H1Z1, maybe share why you're excited for it. If you're not excited for H1Z1, I've already had some people share comments why they didn't like it, but maybe watch some of the live stream, watch some of the QA sessions that they did, see if that changes your opinion at all. I'm still supporting it, mostly because it's free. It's not a subscription based game or anything like that. I can play it when I want. I can step away and not play it when I want. But if you're not excited, why don't you share why? If you were not excited, maybe you are excited now. Maybe share what changed it for you. Maybe you were excited, but after watching some of the dev stuff, now you decided, what, I don't like it. Share that too. I'm just really curious to see what people think about it. So thank you for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.